Parents, President Daniels, deans, advisors, and distinguished guests, welcome and thank you for attending this year's Parents Assembly. My name is Tyler Castle, and I am the Family Programming Chair for this year's orientation. I would like to welcome you all to the Hopkins family. The message that we would like to pass along is that change is on the horizon. You will see later in skits performed by the family ambassadors that the main theme is change. At Johns Hopkins University, we strive to be extraordinary. But what a funny word, right? Extraordinary. Extraordinary. I looked up the definition of ordinary, and it was of common quality. So who would ever want to be extra common? Here at Johns Hopkins, we have a different definition for extraordinary. We all are common, but we have something a little extra, something that makes us unique. And that was the idea behind the Embracing S philosophy. When we asked your student what is their S, we were really asking, what is special about you? What is your unique characteristic that makes you different from everyone else? Today you are sitting in Shriver Hall, and your students are settling into their new homes, about to begin orientation. But these next few hours are just for you, parents. These are going to be your very own orientation. You will hear from President Daniels himself, Dean Larson of the Arts and Sciences, and Dean Schlesinger of Engineering. And also at about 3 o'clock, there's going to be a panel of students that will help serve and advise your student over the next few years. At this moment, there is both newfound freedom between you and your students. First off, let's think of all the perks about having a student in college. Mothers, there's going to be a lot less laundry to do around the house. Number 2, you can start buying good food again without worrying that your student's going to eat it all when they get home from school. And number 3, think of all the gas you're going to save not having to drive them around everywhere. Granted, it may be easier for me to give the incoming students advice because I've been there. So who else do students have to turn to? My parents had some advice to give. Being from San Diego and collectively having roots in the Midwest, attending Johns Hopkins required me to make a coast-to-coast move. With no relatives or friends or family in the area, it was a bit nerve-wracking, especially on my parents. But little did we know that a problem would arise and I would have a bum knee and blow up my knee during my first year here at Hopkins. And I would have to get reconstructive knee surgery during that first year. Little sad, but the Hopkins family took me in like their own though. And I realized I had everybody in student life and student activities on my side, and it just all worked out, and I realized I had more friends than I could count. With that in mind, parents, most of the phone calls you're going to receive from now on are going to discuss a problem or challenge your student's going to be having, or them needing a pep talk. During these talks, when I had these talks, my parents would remind me of all the good things I've done here. With being involved in orientation and volunteering at the hospital, I came to appreciate the fact that even though my parents were 3,000 miles away, they could convince me that anything's possible. Next, parents, and lastly, prepare not to hear from your child every single day. This is a good sign. It means they're sharing their experiences with their newfound friends and their successes. As students, we think about our family all the time, no matter how infrequent the phone calls are. Not every challenge that your student faces will have an immediate, easy solution, but your encouragement is critical in helping your student through the stressful times. With everything that Hopkins has to offer, be excited that your student will have limitless opportunities to grow and shine. Thank you all again for being here today as your student embarks on an extraordinary 4-year journey here at Johns Hopkins University. Without further ado, here is the president of Johns Hopkins University, President Daniels.
Thank you, Tyler. I am delighted to extend my warmest welcome to the parents, the grandparents, the siblings, the family members and friends, and of course the students of the great class of 2018. Just let's give it up for the great class of 2018. It's really a pleasure to welcome all of you to the Johns Hopkins family. So I say to you, and particularly to your parents here today, it's almost all done. You're here, you've moved in, you've checked out the neighborhood, even in the modest drizzle, made at least one desperate last shopping run for the duct tape, the shower caddy, the laundry detergent. My boys, when I moved them in, never asked for laundry detergent. That was only my daughter. And other dorm room supplies, as it turns out, that are absolutely essential for your son or daughter's academic success. And now you're realizing that your departure from campus is coming faster than you realized. And I know very well how exhausting and heart-wrenching and pride-inspiring this move can be. In fact, I should say that I just returned to Homewood late last night after dropping my own daughter off at university where she started her junior year. Now, there's a big difference between junior year and freshman year, and as we dropped Allie, our daughter, off at school, our goodbyes were free of the nerves and emotions of 2 years ago. I should say my nerves and emotions of 2 years ago. And that time, I think it's pretty clear that Allie has found her place. It's not just that she knows her way around the campus, but now she's chosen a major. She no longer worries about finding her peer group. All of those things, I think, lend to this kind of much more calm, much more tranquil transition than what we experienced when we dropped her off as a freshman 2 years ago. But in truth, the changes run deeper. And let me illustrate it with a story. Before we left for home, my wife Joanne and I took Allie to what seemed to be a very important pilgrimage to IKEA to help her furnish her new apartment. And somewhere past the 3-section shelves and wire baskets, and sometime before we passed the candles and cowhide rugs, we passed an aisle with tools. And there it sort of jumped out at me, a 17-piece set of hand tools for $7.99. And I slipped one into the basket, and I told Allie that, this is something that I could use to help her set up the furniture that we had just purchased before leaving for Baltimore. Allie turned around with an expression that let me know exactly what she thought of my small job construction skills, and shook her head, and she said simply, "Don't worry, Dad, I can do it." It's a moment that caught me off guard, you see, because it's the same thing that she said several years ago when I stood behind her bike, nervously pointed down a gentle hill after removing the training wheels. And it's the same thing she said when we moved her to Baltimore in the middle of high school and started her nervously at a new school. "Don't worry, Dad, I can do it." I share this story because as apprehensive as this moment makes you, I think it's time to trust that your kids are ready for their next challenge. Over the past 18 years, you have done your job fantastically well. You worked hard, you made sacrifices, you showed courage and guidance and sometimes very trying moments and circumstances. And all of those things, all of those moments, all of those discussions, all of those opportunities to share your values are now baked into your kids' characters. And in ways that you might not yet see, your kids have absorbed and embraced your values and ideals and are carrying them here to Hopkins and to Baltimore. Every parent in this room will recognize the reasons we chose your son or daughter to join the class of 2018. Your sons and daughters have worked hard, they've studied hard, they took risks and expressed their inquisitiveness and drive in weird and wonderful ways unique to their own passions and pursuits. And we saw them in both the obvious and in the ineffable qualities that make them a great fit for Johns Hopkins. And now, as parents, it's time to stand back and watch them build on the incredible foundation that you've bequeathed to them. For our part, all of us at Johns Hopkins will do our best to enable their grand ambitions. Over the next 4 years, they will connect with tenured faculty who are researching issues from the promise of individualized health to the challenges of urbanization. They will analyze enzymes in state-of-the-art labs, produce original films, and develop new approaches to environmental sustainability on campus and indeed in the world beyond. Your kids' day-to-day lives will be fueled by some 200 student-led clubs, organizations, and activities across our campuses, and not to mention, of course, the stadiums, the restaurants, the neighborhoods, and the theaters of Baltimore. Whether your child has a passion for foreign policy or anthropology, they'll find themselves and they'll find kindred spirits here. This is the great opportunity, the great possibility of Hopkins. They will explore opportunities that may find them partnering with curators at the renowned Baltimore Museum of Art, interning with financial firms in New York City or London, or serving communities from our Malaria Institute in rural Zambia. Indeed, their experiences in the classroom, resident halls, labs, studios, or playing fields will present opportunities to grow intellectually, socially, and morally. In short, I trust that your sons and daughters will emerge from Johns Hopkins with achievements that you can't anticipate, you can barely see today. And I must say, as a parent who has seen 2 kids graduate and has another in university, that's the great joy of our jobs, is to just sit back now and see it all unfold and see how the things that we gave them are interpreted, reinterpreted, and to take it in directions that you never imagined. And you will soon find that they too can set up IKEA furniture without your help. So to all of you who are here today, congratulations on a job well done. We are so privileged, honored, and thrilled to have your sons and daughters and each of you join us as the newest members of the Hopkins family. Once again, welcome to our community. Thank you. There is, as you've been hearing time and time again today and yesterday for parents who dropped off their kids yesterday, a whole host of people who are here working to make your kids' experience spectacular. And of course, at the helm of all of that are 2 deans of the Whiting School of Engineering and the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. In a moment, Ed Schlesinger, whom I should say is not just a dean this year, but he also has a child who is entering the class of 2018. So it's the ultimate, as I said earlier today, this is the ultimate vote of confidence in how great this place is. He's not just a dean, he's a parent. And so Ed will speak to you, but first I want to call on Pierre Larson, who is the Vice Dean for the Humanities and Social Sciences for the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. He is representing Bev Wendland, who is the Interim Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, and just delighted to have Pierre with us today. Again, thank you.
Thank you, President Daniels. And good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the Hopkins campus, and a special welcome to the members of the class of 2018 who might be here along with their parents. I want to tell you a story. I was going to tell you this story at the end, but it really works best right up front. About 3 weeks ago, I was with a team of people from the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences in the Bay Area, San Francisco region, Palo Alto. And we were going to visit some of our very successful alumni. That would be you in 15 years, 20 years from now, your students. And we were meeting them sometimes in their places of work, in their offices, sometimes in a Starbucks, sometimes in a bar for a drink. And we were talking to them about their experience, and these were very successful graduates of Hopkins. We were also looking for them to support the school. But the interesting thing is that they kept on saying the same things over and over 3 days of full slate of meetings. We kept on hearing the same thing. That is, I had a great time at Hopkins. The greatest part of it was that it was a time of exploration for me. I took classes that I never imagined I might take when I first arrived at Hopkins. My dorm mates told me about a class that they had taken, a professor who was very dynamic, and I decided, let me just take that class. And I took that class. And then I explored some in anthropology. And I took this fascinating course on astronomy. And there they are, some of them in the executive suites of their businesses with all of their employees. And they were telling us that the very thing that we try to tell our students, and now I want to enlist you parents in helping us, that this is a time of exploration. And that taking a whole variety of courses, taking a step to take something you might not have thought about is very important. What our alumni told us was that this is what gave them in their work, whether they were working for a large company. We met a lot of lawyers, for example, or whether they were running their own company. What gave them the leg up? They had taken a sociology class. They understood their, they could understand their customers better. And this gave them the leg up over their competitors, the MBAs and the like. So it was that variety that they kept telling us was so fantastic about Hopkins and the kind of thing they wanted to continue to support. And in the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences, we have 40 majors and upward of 30 minors. So there's a very broad menu of things to pursue. And so to make the best of his or her Hopkins education, I encourage you to encourage your son or your daughter to explore. If your student is majoring, for example, in neuroscience, make sure that she takes also a class in philosophy. Or if she plans a major in English, consider taking a class in our Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences. In the International Studies major, which is a very large major on this campus in the School of Arts and Sciences, students have a number of majors that are paired with them. It could be in history, sociology, in German, that are specially tailored to the International Studies major, so that students can do a variety of things. And this is, you can encourage them to do these things and to explore new courses with the confidence knowing that the successful students of Johns Hopkins University have found that variety very useful in their lives and in their success. So whether you are pursuing a degree or your student is pursuing a degree in the humanities, in the social sciences, or in the natural sciences, we also have a broad variety of opportunities for those students to engage in research. Now, research is the hallmark of Johns Hopkins. We were the first modern research university, and we tried to bring that right down to our students. And there are multiple opportunities for research that all students can be involved in. We have a variety of fellowships and scholarships that are available to students who engage in research. There's the Woodrow Wilson Scholarship Program. In the School of Arts and Sciences, we have Dean's Undergraduate Research Awards. The library, centers, and programs also have monies for students to get involved in research. And there are many opportunities in working with professors, also in the sciences, in labs. And so that research opportunity is something that your students will be experiencing. Finally, I'd also like to enlist you in encouraging your student to visit his or her professors. Establishing relationships with professors is very important, and professors want to help students, to talk to them about their emerging interests, to help them solve basic questions about the majors that they're taking, or the characteristics of various majors, and what kinds of a major and minor would go well together. There are a lot of lonely professors at office hours. And please encourage your student, when you have those periodic conversations, ask them if they have been visiting their professors. What will they need come about 2018 but a letter of recommendation? Letters of recommendation from professors with whom you've established relationships and who know you well are the very best letters of recommendation. And establishing those relationships early is very important, and parents, you can definitely help your students by asking them if they are visiting their professors. I wish you all the best as you embark on this journey with your students over the next 4 years. And now I would like to introduce the Dean of the Whiting School of Engineering, Professor Ed Schlesinger.
Thank you, Dean Larson. Welcome once again to all the parents and family members of the class of 2018. As you heard earlier, I originally thought that I was just being asked to speak as a randomly chosen parent of a student, but apparently it's my administrative tasks that got me up here on the stage. So I am indeed a parent of a 2018 student, very proud of that, and I think I probably can empathize and share your stress and your excitement and your feeling as you bring your college freshmen to campus here at Johns Hopkins. I was kind of involved with move-in this morning. I really left that to my wife and my daughter. I got the cold coffee because AMR 2 doesn't have air conditioning. Those of you in Woolman, I understand, do have air conditioning. But lovely dorms and a lovely move-in day. But one thing you can be sure of, given my somewhat interesting role as both parent and dean, is that you will have at least one parent looking out very carefully and paying very close attention to how all of our students are doing and all of the experiences that they should have here, and how Hopkins will deliver the very best experience to all of our sons and daughters. I'm also new to this campus. I joined the campus in the 1st of January of this year, and I was immediately impressed and really just fell in love with this place and all of the unique qualities that makes it Hopkins. The beautiful campus itself, the physical infrastructure, the university's commitment to the integration of research in the learning process beginning in the freshman year, the areas of opportunity including growth of corporate partnerships and encouragement of entrepreneurial activity. But most of all, I was really impressed by the caliber of our students, our faculty, our staff, and our alumni. And again, I have to say to all of you, and this is a little self-serving, given that I'm a parent, but congratulations to all the parents for getting your son or daughter here as a freshman. There really is a commitment to excellence and a desire to create knowledge here and to have an impact in the world. And the engineering school is a very important part of that. There's some really exciting initiatives going on here. I won't list them all, but just to give you a flavor, we have a project that's collaborative with the School of Medicine to develop a fully implantable, self-contained artificial heart. We have an institute that's working on the fundamental issues associated with materials under extreme conditions, whether that's materials that have to be implanted in the human body or materials that have to be used in a jet aircraft. We have a group that's helping our faculty and students bring innovation to the market and to commercialize and have impact in the world through our efforts called Fast Forward. It's really just a sampling of all that's going on here at Hopkins Engineering and all the accomplishments that you'll see coming out of this university. And what's really important is that your sons and daughters are now, and all of you are now, members of this remarkable community. And that's something that they should revel in and that you should revel in and take pride in. So, from one parent to another, welcome again to the Johns Hopkins family. And now I'd like to introduce Kevin Schollenberger. Kevin is Vice Provost for Student Affairs. He joined the university just over a year ago after working at Columbia University for over 14 years in student affairs. And one of the things I've seen in the time that I've been here is that he is absolutely passionate about providing our students with the best possible experience during their years with us. And in this short time that he's already been here, he's really enhanced the student experience in some very significant ways. And I'm very pleased to be working with him. Please join me in welcoming Provost Schollenberger.
Hello, everyone. I just want to join in on the chorus of welcomes and congratulations. We've been planning all summer to welcome your son and daughters to our community. But like President Daniel and the Dean said, we also welcome you to the Hopkins family. So I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to meeting all of you. Each of the students that we selected this year for the 2018 class are just absolutely extraordinary. They're intelligent, driven, highly accomplished academically and personally. Many of them have held impressive leadership positions in their high school, in the community. And however, it's perfectly normal, and we heard this a little bit from Tyler, that these talented and capable students will also go through a transition period as they transition from high school to college. And it's really where our Homewood Student Affairs team comes into play, that we're really here to assist them in getting the most out of their Hopkins experience. Every student's different, and we'll deal with this transition in a unique way, but there are certain common themes that we've seen that I'd like to just point out. And the first is that around their academic program, that they will really have the freedom to build their educational program, to choose their classes, their major, their minor, which is very different than our high school experience. And even for the most goal-oriented student, they may sometimes need help, and I really encourage them to seek out their academic advisors and think about their academic program. They will also find themselves having unprecedented freedom, that they will have a lot of unstructured time outside of the classroom. And so it's really a chance for them to learn time management skills and apply their study skills. And I think one of the biggest transitions for our students is that they were the smartest student or one of the smartest students in their class, and now they find themselves being one of many accomplished and smart students here at Hopkins. And so I know it's sometimes hard for our students to extend a hand and ask for help, but I really do encourage them to use the services that are here to assist them. And also for many of our students, this may be the first time for them living away from home or living in a residence hall or having a roommate. And so we also have resident assistants and staff in place to help them with that transition. What you'll see is that we have a very caring and professional team of people here to take care of them and assist them throughout their time. So Student Affairs, you'll be learning more at the panel after this about the various services, but very quickly, Student Affairs really encompasses the housing, dining, health services, counseling, athletics, student activities, the arts program, academic support, and the list goes on. And so you can just see the array of services and opportunities that are available to them. We will be going through all of these services and programs with your students during the orientation program, but it's also, we encourage you to look on the website and check out these services, so when they call home or that time that they're feeling a little homesick or maybe be struggling, that you can also encourage them to seek us out or seek out the various services. And lastly, we recognize that for you, this is also a transition. For how many of you is this your first child going off to college? Wow, all right. How many of you is this your second or third or fifth? Okay. So those of you at first, check out the ones who have had children go off. They're great. They have expertise and can share advice. And one of the things I encourage you to do is to sign up for our parent Facebook. It's a great way for you all to have a community and share information. And there's this great post on the Facebook, if you haven't seen it, that I want to show, if I can figure it out here. So a little bit of what you might be feeling, a little exaggerated there. But I also want you to know that we are here for you in your transition. And like Tyler said, is some of you may hear from your students 3-4 times a day. Others of you, you may go weeks and you haven't heard from them. But we also want to be in touch with you. So again, check out the Facebook. Our hub, which is on our website, which is our news site, has great information about what's happening on campus. You'll also receive a quarterly newsletter from my office giving you updates of both important dates and services, but also about the events and things that are happening. So we really encourage you to stay in touch, and that we're also here for you as well as your students. So with that, I'm going to turn it over back to Tyler, and you're going to see a few skits from our very talented student actors that are going to talk about some of those transition issues that your son or daughter might be facing when they come here.
Like he said, there's going to be a few skits put together by our fabulous family ambassador staff. You might have met a few of them at the parents' reception, but I hope you enjoy, and they're meant a little bit for entertainment too. So.
Meet the West family. Mr. and Mrs. West are so excited their son is coming home for Thanksgiving break.
Wow, look at all this food. Turkey, pot roast, cranberries, sweet potatoes.
Stop. This isn't for you. This is for our strapping young man, Northwest. I'm so proud of his adjustment to JHU. He seems to be fitting in perfectly. So I decided to make all his favorites for Thanksgiving.
Oh, indeed. Our son does love his roasts.
You can't have any, though. Not yet. I mean, he's been eating nothing but campus food in those dining halls for the past 2 months. He must be starving. So, I mean, I just want him to be happy. He's only going to be here for a week. He'll be here any minute.
Mr. West, still partially excited that his favorite son, North, is coming home, is still secretly scheming for ways to remove food from the table.
And remember, dear, North will probably have plans for when he comes home. He'll probably want to hang out with his friends.
What friends? North will want nothing but to spend time with me. We'll get steaks at the house and go bow fishing by the lake.
Okay, whatever you say, dear.
and in walks their pride and joy. This should be a touching moment.
Oh, North, how are you?
Right, we almost didn't recognize you. Well, your father bought you a new hunting vest. What is it?
Well, the freshman 15 is a very real thing, Mom. Too many late night trips to the FC, if you know what I mean.
Right, well, I made all your favorites for Thanksgiving.
Well, Mother, that doesn't look very organic. See, I have this new life philosophy that animals are part of us, and therefore when we eat them, we set off the balance of the universe. So only wholesome organic foods for me. None of that synthetic stuff.
Well, North, I had all these activities planned, so you don't want to go boat fishing by the lake?
That is inhumane. Actually, there's a 200-year-old tree down in the park that they're trying to take down, so I think a few friends and I are going to go chain ourselves to the trunk and see what happens. But I do have some sleep to catch up on and some good things to study for, so with that, I will see you later.
And parents, one thing we can learn from the West family is that college will give your student new experiences. It's important to expect them and also embrace them. Thank you.
Now let's meet Jamie. Jamie has a roommate, Allie, who is less than ideal. Looks like Jamie's gonna call her parents.
Hello?
Daddy, it's Jamie.
Jamie, what's wrong this time?
Allie. She's the worst roommate ever. I swear she doesn't have any friends. She's always here. Like, she's always here. And she always leaves her stuff on my side of the room. It smells in here, too. I just wish I had a single. It'd be so much easier than dealing with her.
Of course, Jamie's dad was super concerned with this.
Jamie, why can't you talk to your mother about this?
And all she can complain about is chemistry. Chemistry, chemistry, chemistry. Oh, it's so annoying.
Well, why haven't you, talked to her about this? Why is it the girls never really want to talk to each other about these issues?
Dad, it's so complicated.
Well, you do have a resident advisor. Your RA is there to sort out these kind of problems. You do have a whole year to live with this girl, so you should probably try and make it work out.
All right, Dad, I'll try. But I swear, if she leaves one more thing on my side of the room, I'll flip.
It's going to be okay. I'm sure everything will be fine. I know it's hard to suddenly have to live with a complete stranger, but that's part of the college experience. Anyway, I have to go. Let your mom know how things work out.
All right, thanks, Dad. Talk to you later.
And that, parents, is how Jamie's dad solved a girl problem. Nicely done.
It's family weekend. Mr. and Mrs. Gilman are going to visit their son, Jonathan. They're very excited.
I'm so excited.
They haven't been able to see Jonathan since they helped him move in. This should be a touching moment.
Jonathan, oh, it's so wonderful to see you.
There's our little sports manager.
Look at you. You graduated at the top of your class, and now you're studying sports management and doing pre-law at one of the best schools in the country. Your father and I are so proud.
So how'd that exam go today? Well, who am I kidding? I know you aced it.
Actually, I don't think it went so well. But I am taking these really interesting aviation classes, and I'm doing really well in them.
That's okay. The managers need to be able to fly with the team anyways.
This entire exchange made the next thing Jonathan had to say even more awkward.
Yeah, Mom, Dad, I've been thinking, and I'm considering switching my major.
What? Unacceptable. Your grandfather was a sports manager. All your uncles are sports managers. I'm a manager. This is in your genes. It's a family legacy. You can't break this. We've talked about this before.
Honey, we want him to be happy, right?
But Dad, I'm trying my hardest. I really am. I just don't think sports management is for me. I'm taking some really interesting aerodynamics classes, and I'm really enjoying them. I think aviation will be more for me.
What? I'm not paying $60,000 a year for you to come to this school and not become a sports manager. This is one of the best places in the nation to do it, and I'm not going to pay to have you be the guy who flies the managers around.
Jonathan, don't you have an academic advising office? Maybe you can go and talk to them about these issues. Or if you're feeling too much pressure or stress, you can go talk to the counseling center. Don't worry about your father. You know how he can be.
Thanks, Mom.
Remember, parents, your dream for your student might not necessarily be your student's dream. While they're here at Hopkins, it's important to let them explore and discover their own interests. Thank you.
I know I've met many of you throughout the day, certainly a check-in this morning, a session yesterday, and a session earlier today. My name is Terry Martinez. I'm the Associate Vice Provost and Dean of Students, and I'm so thrilled to be joining you today. And I wanted to introduce you. The goal of today's session is really for you to understand how members of the Dean of Students Life Office and our campus partners work together to really provide a caring and helpful community for your students. What we're going to do is have each of the panelists introduce themselves and say a little bit about the area they oversee. There are some cards that are being handed out to you currently so that you can ask any questions of us, and we'll collect those cards, and we'll take some time to answer those questions, things that perhaps you've thought about as you transition and as your student transitions. And it's important for you to know that at Hopkins, we really all work together to ensure that your student is provided with a well-rounded opportunity, both inside and outside the classroom. We have some expectations of our students. We expect them to be responsible citizens in our community, and we know that they have some rights as well. And so we work with them to understand both their obligations and responsibilities, and to make sure that there's a net that is cast around them so that they could be successful students. So what I'd like is for each of the panelists to introduce themselves, to talk about their area, and then we'll continue down the line.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Sheppard. I'm the Associate Dean of Student Life here at Hopkins. I've been here for quite some time, and I can't tell you how fortunate I feel to have all of you here today and for you to bring your sons and daughters to us. It truly is a blessing. They're great, wonderful young people, and we do love making their experience the best that they possibly have. As Provost Schollenberger said earlier, the areas we work with are freshman orientation, campus programming, digital media and the Arts Center, housing and residential life, lesbian, gay, and bisexual and transgender issues, and the Health Center, the Counseling Center, the Interfaith Center, and Campus Judicial Affairs. Also, I also want to say on a personal note that for 20+ years, I would sit in front of this panel every year and give out what I thought was the best advice about being a parent to a college student. And it wasn't until last year when my own advice had to be given to my college student as I was leaving. And I would try to coach my husband through, this is what's going to happen, this is what you have to be prepared for, don't worry about this, you know, this will be fine. And of course, we get there, we unload, and I fall into a pile of tears. And I realized that, wow, what happened to all that advice that I've given for the past couple years? Why didn't I take my own advice? So I regrouped and I realized that he was going to be okay and that people were going to take care of him and support him in his academic mission. And it's true. There are plenty of people like here. We have plenty of people on this campus who will do whatever we can to assist. What I often tell parents sometimes is this seems kind of like a big, crazy, organized chaos. So the best thing you can do is if you really feel lost and you don't know where to go and you don't know what questions and you're not finding something on the website, please call our office, the Office of Dean of Students. We can at least get you to the right place quickly. We might not know all the answers, but we know how to get you there. The only other thing I want to emphasize is, you know, because we do work with things outside of the classroom, I really encourage you for this semester to help your sons and daughters learn about balance. You know, grades are not everything. A's are not to be expected in all classes at all times. But remind them to go up to the rec center and get some exercise, to go join a club or organization, to go to an a cappella concert, to go to one of our various speakers on campus, to really enjoy the whole Hopkins experience. I'll be glad to answer any questions regarding student life, as well as if you really want to know where to get the best crab cake in Baltimore City, I'm your girl.
Thank you so much, Dorothy.
Hi, my name is Matt Torres, and I'm one of the associate directors at the Counseling Center. I'm a psychologist. We have a staff of 10 psychologists and 6 part-time psychiatrists to help your sons and daughters deal with the stresses, anxieties that come with coming to college. So going away to college particularly can be very challenging for some students. We are there to help. We provide individual counseling, group counseling. We have walk-in services, so our services are very easy to attain. A student simply needs to call or to walk over to the counseling center to make an appointment. We're also there, whenever our office is open, we have walk-in services. So any student can just come into the counseling center and immediately sit down with one of the psychologists to talk about their concerns. So in addition to that, for you all, one of the services we provide is consultation. So you're the first people who know that, hopefully, that your son or daughter is struggling. What you can do is contact the counseling center, talk to one of us about how you might get help for your son or daughter. So we are happy to talk with you about that. We're happy to consult with you, figure out ways to best help your son or daughter. One piece that I'll put out there has to do with confidentiality, though. If your son or daughter is 18 or older and they come to see us, we are not allowed, legally or ethically, to communicate with you about them having come in. But we are more than willing to ask for their permission to talk with you. Sometimes we'll very much encourage that. And please know that in the case of a mental health emergency where we're really concerned about a student, we'll contact you. We'll do what needs to be done to keep your student safe. Also, I'll add, welcome. It's very nice to see all of you, and I look forward to seeing your students in a variety of settings.
Thank you, Matt. Alain?
Good afternoon. My name's Alain Joffe. I'm the director of the Student Health and Wellness Center, which also includes the Center for Health Education and Wellness, which is our health education programs on campus. I'd also like to welcome you to Hopkins. For me, one of the most fun parts of my job, particularly this time of year, is when a freshman comes in for a minor illness or for something else that they may need. It's really a lot of fun to find out who they are, where they're from, what their hopes and dreams are, what they want to accomplish while they're at Hopkins. Those kinds of interactions keep me young, so it's a real benefit of the job. I guess I would like you to think of the Student Health and Wellness Center as being equivalent to your primary care physician's office at home. Anything that you would have thought about taking your son or daughter to your primary care doctor, sore throat, ear pain, abdominal pain, rash, sprained ankle, don't feel well, fever, anything like that is something that we handle. We also do a lot of travel consultations. We have a wide array of services. And I think it's important for everyone to realize it, if you haven't already seen it in the material, is that we do not charge for any of our services. You've already paid for them in your tuition. So I don't ever want cost to be a barrier to students coming in to seeking needed care. People sometimes ask, well, does my son or daughter have to have the student health insurance to use the health center? The answer is no. We don't charge for anything in terms of seeing a physician or a nurse practitioner. There may be charges for medications, and if we need to send blood tests or x-rays or whatever, then there are charges for that. But just to come in and say, I don't feel well, I need to be checked out, there is no cost involved. During the academic year, we're open on Saturdays from 11 to 2, so your son or daughter doesn't have to worry about, it's Friday night, my God, I'm not going to be able to get seen until Monday. We do have Saturday hours. We also have, when we're closed, so that's nights and Sundays, we have a nurse advice line. If the student calls the health center number, they will get transferred to our nurse advice line, and the nurses will collect their information, and then following standard protocols will tell them, oh, this is something that you can wait until Monday, or you can go to the health center tomorrow, or no, this sounds pretty serious, you need to go to the emergency room. So they should never feel that they are alone in terms of figuring out what to do in the middle of the night, and all the RAs have all that contact information if they forget. Like the counseling center, and we work very closely together, under Maryland law, students 18 and older, we have to respect their confidentiality. I think all of my staff is savvy enough, so if we think we're dealing with a situation that is fairly serious, we will encourage your son or daughter to communicate with you. We will offer to call. But if they absolutely insist, unless it's really a true emergency where we're really concerned about the safety of the student, we have to respect their confidentiality. As Matt indicated, if you are concerned about your son or daughter and you feel like you want to call me or one of my staff to say, hey, my son's been complaining about X, Y, or Z for a couple of weeks, what do you think I should do, or where should I send him? We're happy to make suggestions about what to do and perhaps encourage your son or daughter to come in. So I'm bound by confidentiality, but you're not.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Alain.
Good afternoon, my name is Greg Smith. I'm the Director of Transportation Services, and I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you at the parents' reception yesterday or today. We provide a variety of services in conjunction with student life, to include the parking lots and garages on campus. Hopefully you had a smooth move-in experience. It generally runs like a well-oiled machine where you pull up and move quickly through. I had one dad say, I didn't have to get out of the car and it was the best thing ever. We also run a variety of shuttle services that are all free to Hopkins affiliates. Your students will ride them. I had one student today say, well, I'm not going to have to go anywhere. Well, of course you're going to go somewhere. You're going to get out and about. In fact, tomorrow I'll be speaking to the entire freshman class before they go out into the city for their service projects and providing more detailed information. I think what we want to make sure you get today is that we provide shuttle services from 6 a.m. until midnight every day of the week that connect to the various Hopkins locations, including the Penn Station Transit Hub, the Peabody School of Music, and the East Baltimore Medical Campus. At night, we also provide the Blue Jay shuttle service, which is a safe ride home. We follow specific routes departing from the library every 30 minutes. We hit major grocery stores, restaurants, and of course all the dormitories and apartment buildings. In addition, we provide a van rental program for student activity groups. So if your students need to go out as a group and do a service project, they can reserve a van in advance to do that. And then lastly, we have a pedestrian safety campaign to make sure that your students don't need to come visit after any kind of injury. We call it the Road Scholar campaign. And so, you know, your students probably weren't living right on a major thoroughfare in an urban environment. And we do want to encourage you to encourage them to be aware, to keep their eyes and ears open, and not be distracted by cell phones or other devices as they're living in this community.
Thank you so much, Greg. Keith?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keith Hill. I'm the Vice President of Corporate Security. In that role, I oversee and manage the security apparatus for the university as well as all of the hospital institutions that we have. The Campus Safety and Security program here is a very robust program. We utilize a number of officers in different capacities. We have security department that contains over 55 commissioned special police officers. These are individuals who are commissioned by the state of Maryland. They have full police arrest authority on the campus grounds. We have over 140 contract security folks who actually are our eyes and ears around the campus. They are both on and off campus. We also have off-duty Baltimore City Police that work for us in an off-duty capacity. We have an excellent working relationship with the Baltimore City Police Department, both at the Northern District as well as the other locations around the city. And they support us in a very powerful way, and we work very collaboratively with them. We utilize here at the campus a protection model, and it basically is a layered effect. And you'll see that if you walk around the campus. We utilize our emergency blue lights that you might see. There's over 113 of those that are located around the campus. I talked about that this morning at the security session that we talked about, that we had with the parents, as well as yesterday. We also have over 300 cameras, CCTV cameras, that are located on and around the campus. All of this reports back to our 24-hour communication department, which is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. In addition to that, we also offer some crime prevention and pedestrian safety programs and things for the students. One of them is a night walk that we take with the students. It's a great program. It's something that everyone's asked to take. It gets them acclimated to the neighborhood and what it is. If you haven't heard about it, that we take the students. We have the Baltimore City Police with us. We have some of the campus safety and security. They walk around the neighborhoods and they talk about crime. They talk about things that they can do to keep themselves protected as they move about. We also have a number of programs where we actually talk about different types of things that go on, thefts, how to handle yourself out on the street smarts, and those kinds of things. So all of this is available. If anyone has a question, myself and my two colleagues down here, the Assistant Director for Campus Safety and Security, and one of our lieutenants is here. We'll be glad to answer any questions for you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Keith. So really, this is an opportunity for you to think about, any questions that you might have with regard to our programs or services on campus, and certainly the ways that we support your students. I know that there were some cards that were handed out, and so we have some assistants that are going around to collect them. I know that there were some questions earlier regarding our residence halls and support in the residence halls. So as we collect those cards, I'll talk a little bit about that. For those of you that didn't hear me say earlier, we have a group of specifically selected and trained students that live in the residence halls. They're called RAs, and they are students, and they are sophomores, juniors, and seniors that live on the floors with your students. And the skills that they're trained in have to do with community engagement, crisis intervention, program development, and communication. They live on the floors, they work with your students, they provide some programming, they do some outreach, and they help us to ensure that your students are safe and connected on campus. They're also the first line people whenever we have any policy violations in the residence halls, and they in effect are our extension into the buildings where the students live. So they intervene on our behalf, and then typically someone from Residential Life or Dorothy follows up with those students to to engage in conversations about their behavior and to intervene so that we could take corrective action with those students. Those students are supervised by professional live-in staff members who also work with those RAs to provide them with the resources and support they need to engage your students in our community. So I know that was a question that was raised earlier. So if I can have any of those cards up here, I can begin to have my fabulous panel begin to get some answers for you. So the first question, which seems to be a very, very important one, goes to Dorothy. Dorothy, where do you get the best crab cake in Baltimore?
Well, I make the absolute best crab cake in Baltimore.
So please share your address with us, and we'll be there at 6 o'clock this evening.
At some point, at some place, maybe you'll be able to taste that. But if not, in a pinch, Coco's Pub. If you're looking for an informal atmosphere, not far away from campus, it's about 10 minutes on Harford Road. It's a little local pub in Baltimore, and the woman that owns it makes, I think, absolutely the best crab cake on the East Coast and in Baltimore.
Great.
So, enjoy.
Thank you. I see we're getting to the very important questions first. The second question is it possible, it's for you, Craig, is it possible to introduce shuttle service to and from Dulles Airport during the beginning and ending of vacations and breaks?
It's a great question, and I would like to say anything is possible. I had a parent come up to me yesterday, I think, and say he was pre-ordered a cab to go to Dulles, and it was $175. And I jokingly offered to take him for $120 myself. Then he told me he needed to be there at 5 a.m. We have a program on campus called JHU Taxi Share, where one or more students can sign up and say that they are already taking a taxi to a specific location. And so I think in the short term, the answer to that question is to use that program. In the longer term, I think that it's a program that we could certainly look into. We trialed a transportation program during SOHOP this year where we went to and from the BWI airport. And with funding, that's always the biggest challenge, but it was a very successful program to the point where I had a student come up to me again today and say, hey, you were actually driving my shuttle when I was here for SOHOP. And I said, great to see you again, and welcome to Hopkins. We are a fairly small department ourselves, to the point that I mentioned that I was actually driving the shuttle that day. We're happy to provide in any way that makes sense. So if there's demand for it, we'll try to figure out a way to make it happen.
Great, thank you so much. The next question is for Dr. Joffe. It has to do with the health center. What is the major reason that JH students come to the Health and Wellness Center? And as a follow-up, when will flu shots be available for students?
I'm not sure that I could say there's any single reason. When I put together the annual report, if I broadly group things together as cough, cold, sore throat, that's usually one of the biggest reasons that students come. During the nice weather, before it turns cold, we see a lot of ankle injuries, muscle contusions. When some viruses go around campus, we may see clusters of vomiting and diarrhea. It really varies during the time of year. We also see a number of students where clearly stress is a major driver, so headaches, fatigue, just generally not feeling well, difficulty sleeping. That gives me the opportunity to say that we work very closely with the counseling center if we think that the physical complaint is to a large extent driven by stress or having some difficulties navigating the transition to college. In terms of flu shots, I had hoped that we would actually have our flu vaccine ready by the time your sons and daughters arrive, but the vendor is saying they're having a little bit of difficulty. We've been promised that we will have our initial supply by September 17th. We will be sending out broadcast emails, putting ads in the JHU newsletter, but as of right now, we're tentatively scheduled to get our first shipment by September 17th.
Great, thank you. The next, it looks like I have several questions here that relate to campus safety. So I'm going to direct these to you in a series of questions, Keith, and we'll keep just having a conversation back and forth. What is the main driver, or what is the criminal activity that occurs most at Johns Hopkins University, and what are we doing to address it?
I would say Baltimore City, much like other cities around the country, they share the same types of crimes. I'm not sure we would have any specific crimes or anything that will go on here that will be unique to us. I do know that there are thefts that occur at any campus, laptops and cell phones, electronics. I mean, those are types of things that are always a hot item. So those are the types of crimes that tend to take place here, probably on the campus, if anything. And it's not substantial, but they do occur every now and then.
Great. There also seems to be some concern about reputation of Baltimore for not being a very safe city. Can you talk a little bit about what do you think? The last few days at Inner Harbor, I indeed felt unsafe too. What do you think about that? And perhaps maybe some advice or recommendations that parents might give to their students in navigating the city?
Sure.
That would be helpful.
And that's the kind of thing we talk about. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, crime, whether it's here in Baltimore, whether it's anywhere around the country, it's just, a lot of it's just common sense, trying to make sure that you are aware of your environment, know what you're doing, know where you're going, and know how you're going there. The types of things in the city in terms of its reputation. I'm born and raised, I'm from here. It's a terrific city. There's a lot of wonderful things that you can do here in the city, and it's just a function of being prepared and knowing where to go. We do teach our students, though, as they go out, to make sure that when they go out, that they're going out in pairs with other folks. If they have to go out at night, make sure you've got transportation available. If you're walking, make sure you know what's going on around in your environment, what's going on around you. In addition to that, we also, when it comes to cell phones is a big issue. I talked about this earlier. Everyone has a phone, and last probably several years, there's probably been, robberies have been across the country one of the leading crimes that have been taking place, largely due to the cell phones and electronics. I mean, they're hot items. There used to be an opportunity for individuals to take these things and take them to these kiosks and actually get cash for them. They would be located in malls. You take a phone, put it in a kiosk, put the make model in, and it would actually spit out cash. And that kind of drove some of the activity when it came to robberies and thefts. But Baltimore City Council last year banned those in the malls here. So those are no longer here in the city, in the malls, and I think that's a good thing. But I would say, though, when it comes to cell phones, we encourage our students just to put them down if you can. If you have to be on the phone, make sure you're in a location and a place where you know what's going on, and just don't walk down the street in an absent-minded way, talking on the phone. You really should be aware of your environment.
Great. There are a couple of things, and it seems as though we're doing a lot of educating, certainly letting parents know what we have in place. And there was a question regarding what we share with students during orientation, the same kind of conversations that we're having here.
Yes, and we share, and I actually went over that this morning at one of the briefings. We have a whole list of things that we actually share, everything from bicycle safety, how to secure your bicycles if in fact you have one of those, different type of locks that you can use. We talk about the Neighborhood Walkers Program, Street Smarts. We talk about the cell phone thefts. We talk about all of these different things that can occur. And the bottom line to all of this is that you really just need to be aware of what you're doing. And whether you're in Tbilisi, Georgia, whether you're in Moscow, whether you're in LA, whether you're in Baltimore, it's all the same. You really have to be aware of your environment and make sure you know what you're doing.
Great, thank you. There was also a question that came in that says, what are JHU's policies and procedures regarding on-campus sexual harassment and assault? One of the things that I know is that Johns Hopkins University is not unlike other institutions in higher education. This is a very big national issue, and if you are reading the newspapers or watching the news, you know that every institution is taking a look at this issue and taking it very seriously. At Johns Hopkins University, we too take this matter very, very seriously, and we've introduced several initiatives that we are implementing that have gone into place already over the course of the summer. I encourage you to take a look at our new sexual assault website. For those of you that are writing information down, it is sexualassault.jhu.edu. What that website does, it lists all of the policies that are in place for our students and all of the services that are available. So we are taking this initiative very seriously and continue to work on that matter as a community. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. There's a question, Dorothy, that I'm going to direct to you. It's about campus climate. The question is, what does campus climate mean to Hopkins?
Campus climate, that's a good question. You know, I feel like our climate is one of mutual respect, one that we really challenge our students, and our students challenge us, and they challenge each other. And we try to make it as a welcoming environment as possible for all of our students. And that's why we have so many clubs and organizations where there's never a student that doesn't have a place to belong. And last year I had a student come in to me and said, you know what, I never found my place in high school. I never could figure out what fit for me. But in 2 weeks at Hopkins, I found the place that fit for me. And this student happened to be one of our students who was got very involved in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community here at Hopkins, and they felt like it was a very welcoming place for them, and it felt like we took time to really educate other students about differences and appreciating differences of others. And you know, I encourage you to talk to your sons and daughters about how this is a wonderful opportunity to really embrace the various differences on our campus. It's a competitive environment as well, but I think it's a good, healthy competition. I think they challenge each other, but they also help each other. They want to see each other succeed, and they work well in study groups and in the labs. Our number one problem when it comes to academic ethics is that they're working too closely on lab assignments. Some people would think that's a bad thing. I kind of think it's not a bad thing. It means that they are trying to work together and share each other's knowledge. We just have to help them understand when it crosses the line between their work and the work of someone else's.
Great. It seems as though I have about 4 or 5 questions here that are related to health services again, Ellen, so I'm going to refer them to you. I'll kind of cluster them, and then we'll keep going back and forth around this. Where do students go for more serious health issues and for specific doctors? For example, dermatologists, and does the health service refer students to such off-campus doctors?
Yes, thank you for that question. So we have, over the years, built up an extensive network of subspecialty referrals, and in fact, one of my staff, Sean Kelly, spends all of her time helping students with insurance questions and with referrals. I'm not going to tell you that we always refer to Johns Hopkins specialists because in certain situations, the wait time to get in to see a Hopkins specialist can be months, whereas we know that in many situations, there are community physicians at Union Memorial who have given our students excellent service over the years, and that both students and parents have been very pleased with. So, you know, we've really developed a network where we know the students are going to get good service, they're going to get service promptly, you know, my recommendation would always be that if your son or daughter thinks they need to see a specialist, they start with us because we can help them navigate the system. And again, Sean can call and make the appointment so that your son or daughter doesn't have to worry about that.
A follow-up question is transportation provided to those students for those off-campus visits?
So again, if we use the community specialists, they're almost all within walking distance of campus because their offices are either within a 3 or 4 block radius, or they're located in Union Memorial's hospital's outpatient building. If they're going down to East Baltimore, It's a shuttle ride. They just hop on the Hopkins shuttle and go down to the outpatient center. Depending on the time of day, that can be a 15 to a 30-minute ride. The only place that we send students that the transportation is a bit of a challenge is Johns Hopkins does have an outpatient center at Green Spring Station, which is about a 20 to 25-minute ride from here. We only try to use that if we don't have another resource, and you can get there, but you have to take a shuttle down to East Baltimore and then get another shuttle from East Baltimore out to Green Spring Station. But in most instances, I would say 90 to 95% of instances, students can either walk to the appointment or take a Hopkins shuttle to East Baltimore.
Great. And then I'm going to ask one more follow-up, couple this one. Can you share, and you mentioned it earlier, but can you share with the group the location of the nearest emergency room? And if a student signs a waiver, an insurance waiver, will that student be seen in case of an emergency?
So the nearest emergency room is Union Memorial Hospital, which is located at Calvert and 34th Street, so within just a 5-minute walk from Woolman and McCoy. I meet regularly with the director of the emergency room at Union. She knows our students, the staff know our students. We have very good relations with them. And so for most circumstances, that's where we direct students. And campus security, if they're really sick, will take them to Union rather than they're having to walk. There are going to be some circumstances when we think students probably should go down to Hopkins emergency room if it's a more unusual or disease or illness, and we kind of know that ahead of time. We can make arrangements for them to get down to Hopkins. And then, you know, we have a fair number of, at the beginning of the semester, 17-year-olds, and so I might preferentially get them down to the pediatric emergency room down at Hopkins, because they will see students up to the age of 21, but they certainly will see the 17-year-olds. And what was, I'm sorry, what was the?
And if they signed an insurance waiver, whether or not they would be seen?
So again, so I hope I'm answering this correctly. It doesn't make a difference what kind of insurance your son or daughter has. We will see any student that's enrolled in Peabody and the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences and Engineering. We don't even, although we ask them to bring their insurance card, it really doesn't come into play because we are not driven by insurance reimbursement. The only time insurance comes into play is if we need to do blood work or we need to get x-rays or if they need to see a specialist, and then the specialist office is gonna ask what kind of insurance they have. But if it's just a question of coming to the health center because they have a problem, it doesn't make a difference if you've signed a waiver or not. By virtue of their being a Hopkins student, they're eligible to use the health center.
Great. And I'll have a final question for you, Alan, is will parents be notified during student illness?
So that goes back to the issue of confidentiality. If your son or daughter gives us permission to notify you, I'm happy to do that. All of my staff are happy to do that. Sometimes students want us to call. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes we recommend, hey, you know, you're pretty sick. I think maybe we should give your parents a heads up. But if a student insists that they do not wish to have us notify their parents, then we will not, unless it's really a true medical emergency to the point where we think the safety of the student is in jeopardy.
Great, thank you. We're going to shift gears now. Dorothy, perhaps you can answer this question for us. How can parents check out their students' grades?
That also is covered under FERPA, so parents, the only way you can is if you get permission from your students and have them kind of sign the waiver. What I found effective with my son last year was I said, see this check for your tuition? It's not going to get signed until you check the little box that says, I have full access. You know, it might not start the year off as best as he wanted, but, you know, I said it was very much a partnership. And, you know, I really never checked. after that. It was more of feeling like I needed to be in control. Oftentimes, what we'll do, a parent may call out our office or academic advising and say, you know, I'm really worried about my son. How are they doing in class? And we'll say, well, have you talked to your son or daughter? Or, you know, let us talk to them. Maybe we'll have them call you and talk to you about grades. And there's oftentimes, sometimes we'll also meet in a group setting with the parent and the son or daughter and, you know, talk about if there's some tough academic issues, talk about how they can work through those issues and how they can assist. Now, Jim Fry is in the audience. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the semester, if a student is on academic probation, parents are notified, correct, Jim? They're not. Okay, sorry. I thought a letter went home, but I guess the student gets notified of that at the end of the semester. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Dorothy, I'll give this one to you as well. How can students seek tutoring help?
There's all kinds of ways. They can go through their academic advisor in arts and sciences and engineering. There's study consultants. There's the Learning Den. There's tutors available. There's review sessions for various classes. We urge that you go on the website and have them go on the website, take a look, go in, and they can get these things set up. If you can give them any good advice, tell them sooner rather than later. The faculty are here to help. Have them the first 2 weeks, tell them, go in and introduce yourself to that faculty member during office hours. You know, say, hey, I'm taking this class, you know, it's really interesting, I'm a little worried, I'm a little nervous, I'm not used to this type of work, can you give me some helpful hints, any other things I should look at? A professor would much better be proactive than when a student comes in the Monday after Thanksgiving and the student says, I'm failing your class and I absolutely have to pass. I know there's only 3 days left of classes, but what can you do for me? They can't help them as much then as much as they could help them in the beginning. Also, the RAs are they're upperclassmen in the residence halls. A lot of them have lots of good, helpful hints and oftentimes set up different study sessions and time management sessions in the residence halls for students to attend to try to get on top of that in the beginning as well.
Great, thank you. We're going to switch topics again, and we're going to go back to a shuttle question. Can you highlight the shuttle stops that are most popular for our students? Inner Harbor, Giant Airport?
I can.
Great.
So the Hopkins shuttle buses, we officially call the Homewood Peabody JHMI shuttle, and JHMI becomes slang to the kids and they refer to it as the Jimmy. So hop on the Jimmy. And our stops are here at Homewood, at Penn Station, which is the transit hub, at the Peabody School of Music, and at the East Baltimore Medical Campus. And I'd hate to say all 4 of those are very popular stops. We have a few small stops along the way, like at 27th Street, that are less popular. On the Blue Jay shuttle, our popular stops on campus include the hub, which is Brody Learning Commons, the rear of the library, and every 30 minutes we depart from there, so of course we're going to get the most boardings at that location. In terms of where the students go, by far our #1 destination is the Giant grocery store on 41st Street. Giant is a brand of grocery stores here in Maryland, and it's more than groceries in terms of when you just need to go grab a pack of batteries, or you're out of shampoo, or any other cleaning supplies, household items. The Giant really is the #1 place that students tell us they want to go. In fact, last semester we ran a trial on Saturdays during the daytime to go over to the Hamden community, which is not far. It's roughly a mile, and there's a lot of fun restaurants and eclectic shops on the avenue. And what we heard from the feedback was, it's great that you're taking us there, but if you only went another 5 minutes up the road, we'd be at the Giant. So, of course, this semester we're trialing a Hamden shuttle on Saturdays that includes the Avenue and the Giant on 41st Street.
Great. I'm going to ask my panel. I'm out of questions. I have one more, but I'm out of questions from the audience, but I'm going to ask the panelists if you would stay around. Perhaps there are some questions that parents didn't want to ask of the audience, but may want to ask us individually. So if you could stay around for a few moments. And the final question, of course, is the best places to eat dinner tonight. Seafood, crabs, best value finds. So if each of you could just answer what's your best value find for dinner tonight, and then we'll just wrap up this panel. We know where Dorothy goes.
Yeah, of course, Coco's Pub, although they can't accommodate all of you, I'm sure. There's Donna's right on the corner of St. Paul and 30th Street that offers a variety of salads, sandwiches, dinner-type entrees. There's Lito's Pizza, which has pizza and pasta and salads, again on St. Paul Street. If you want to venture out a little bit, go to Baltimore's Little Italy, which is downtown, east of the harbor. There's also Harbor East, which has lots of ethnic restaurants as well. My favorites are Lebanese Tavernia, which is pretty costly, so you might want to save that for a special occasion. Little Italy, Sabatino's is one of Baltimore's homegrown and local favorites. So those would be my initial suggestions.
Thanks.
I didn't expect this question.
It's a ringer.
So what I'll suggest is very local and very fun. It's called Paper Moon Diner. If you're not freaked out by dolls, it's a good place to go to. If you've already been, you know what I mean. There are dolls and toys hanging from the ceiling all over the place and strange knickknacks all over. But the food is very good. It's a very fun place. I take my daughter there. She loves it. So especially if you have family, I recommend Paper Moon on 29th Street.
Great.
Boy, I could keep you here for a long time. Certainly for value, all of the places along St. Paul Street between 31st and 33rd. There's a new Indian restaurant that's just opened up that my staff and I have eaten at, which is very good. And judging from the fact that it's always packed at lunch, the students like it as well. There's a place called Suite 27, which is on 27th Street, I think in Howard, which is a very eclectic kind of restaurant, all different kinds of food. Oh, and it's gluten-free. I didn't know that. And then two personal favorites of mine. One is Petit Louis, which is a French bistro on Roland Avenue. It's probably a 10-minute car ride from here. It's kind of noisy, but the food is terrific. And then my new current favorite is Nickel Tap House, which is located in Mount Washington, which is about 15 minutes from here. Pretty eclectic menu, good beer selection. The owner's from Buffalo, as am I, so they do a roast beef on Kimmelweck, which is a traditional Buffalo dish, but they have mussels and all other kinds of food, which I think is really terrific.
Thanks. Greg?
I'll try to add some that haven't been said yet. If you're staying here close to the the Homewood campus, I would say Gertrude's, which is at the BMA, is a great place to eat. If you like vegetarian meals, and even if you don't, I'd say give it a try. One World Cafe, which is along University Parkway next to the Colonnade. If you're staying at the Mount Washington campus, in addition to Nichols Tap House, which I enjoy, the Mount Washington Tavern.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go with Coco's. Actually, I was there yesterday. Excellent crab cakes. I can attest to that. They have really good. I brought one home for my wife. She loved it. It's just amazing. We're both from Baltimore, so we kind of think we know a little bit about crab cakes. But anyway, very good. I would also recommend, especially if you're going with your child, maybe just down to the harbor. If you haven't had a chance to get down there, a lot of great restaurants down there, places to eat, just to walk and talk, and things to see. So that would be my recommendation.
Great. Thank you very much. If you please give the panelists a round of applause. And I want to thank you all for coming and staying and really investing in your child's future and really partnering with us in this journey. If you have any questions at any point, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. My name again is Terry Martinez, and my email is very simply tmartinez@jhu.edu. Don't hesitate to reach out. We are in this together, and together we will all make sure that your students reach commencement in 4 years. So thank you so much, and have a great afternoon.